New leader at Loudon. Greg Biffle has passed Bobby Hamilton Jr. to become the third different leader of the day. Shane Meal led 11 laps. Hamilton for 61, and then this.
What really enabled Greg Biffle in the 60 to catch Bobby Hamilton Jr. was lap traffic. They've been following for about 8 or 10 laps. But look, we've not seen anybody be able to run that low as Greg Biffle in the 60 car when he needs to.
Now, again, we talk about what crew chiefs say. I was talking to Randy Gosling. He said, I'm going to tell you something about Biffle. He has got an eagle eye, and he can figure out how to figure a line out around the racetrack better than anybody else he's ever worked with. And when these guys didn't have those lines to work with yesterday and took the cones up, it really messed him up. But he's been able to figure it out quite quickly today, and he's really brought that car to the front.
Another fellow who's figured it out, Jeff, is Ron Hornaday. Hornaday was trailing a pack of cars and worked his way through them. That pack includes Jack Sprague, Scott Riggs, and we saw him battle Shane Meal. But Hornaday's moved up onto the leaderboard right there in 6th place now.
Oh, we got trouble here on the front straightaway. 60 car to Lucky blew an engine.
Greg Biffle goes up in smoke. No caution. New leader.
Caution is out now. They looked at the racetrack, decided there he did put some oil down, so we have a caution here on lap 76.
Larry, that caution is going to make a lot of crew chiefs happy.
Oh, yes, it will. Yes, it will. I mean, we've got Scott Wimmer, Casey Mears, a lot of those guys, Shane Hall, just about to go a lap down.
And everybody who was counting on green flag pit stops and wondering when to make those now has the luxury of the caution flag.
Well, it's the good news, bad news. We definitely want to pit now, 4 tires and full of fuel, but nobody could make it from here. So should we go green the rest of the way, then the question comes when to come in and get that fuel at the end. No question, everybody will be on pit road.
Right. Greg Biffle rolls onto the infield road course, that being the short way back to the garage here at New Hampshire International, and Bobby Hamilton Jr. goes back into the lead ahead of Todd Bodine. Randy LaJoy, who quietly slipped up to 3rd place, and Jamie McMurray.
That's 2 of the Roush motors here today. Jeff Burton in the 9 car having a problem. Now Greg Biffle in the 60 car having a problem.
Now remember when we started early this race that we talked a little bit about gear selection. We're trying to make the right decision, and some of the guys were talking about they needed to change valve springs, really concerned about whether or not the RPM would be right. And I'm sure these guys right now have had problems because it sounds like they have a valve train problem. Lost 2 engines here already.
It's only the 2nd DNF for Biffle, if indeed he's out of the race. He lost an engine at Talladega. 7-Eleven triple pit. Todd Bodine in the middle, Jack Sprague at the bottom. Matt.
Jack Sprague trying to capitalize on Jason Keller's bad luck and retake that points lead. His car was tight on entry, tight in the center. They made a wedge adjustment and air pressure adjustment in the right front, and he is down and away. Bobby Hamilton Jr. is in for a pit stop. He's going to take 4 tires, but it's a lengthy pit stop. The crew is going to pull out the right front fender and the left front fender. Hamilton lost lots of spots on pit road. Just before that pit stop, crew chief Fred Wanke had told him, track position is everything. Let's do this quick. They didn't.
Leave Todd Bodine in the 92 group. They won the battle off pit road. Everybody taking 4 tires full of fuel and making those adjustments after finally getting 78 laps in the books.
2nd caution of the day out for Greg Biffle. You're watching the NASCAR Busch Series on FX. First time in a while that I can remember that none of the top 5 came out in the positions they went into the pit.
Yeah, but this, I talked to Fred Wanke this morning. Look at that right there. In 1st, out 6. You can't do that. You can't give up that kind of positions on pit road.
And it's one thing getting beat by the competition, Larry. Another thing when you beat yourself.
You can pass them in 1 pit stop on pit road. If you lose positions, it can take you 10 laps to pass those 5 cars back.
Welcome back to New Hampshire. The Busch 200 on FX, presented by AT&T Unlimited. Ron Hornaday made an extra pit stop, put the hood up, put him to the tail end of the lead lap, but he's still out there. Let's check with Matt.
Down here in Jack Sprague's pit. Dennis Conner, you made 21 changes, and then after I left you made 2 more, so 23 changes. You guys gambled a little bit. It looks like it's paying off.
Well, there really wasn't any gambling to it. It was kind of a sure thing. We were teetotal absolute junk yesterday in practice, so anything we could do to it stood to make it better. And these net zero guys worked really hard this morning making all the changes that I came up with in my sleep last night, which did total about 23 of them. And I told Jack that more than likely it was going to be too loose on the start, and the track would come to him. And when we had that caution right off the bat, he said that it was extremely loose, and said it didn't surprise me, but it seems to have come to him. Right now at the end of that run, he was getting just a little bit tight. So it's pretty amazing that you can change 23 things and come out relatively decent, but it's not even half over yet, so we'll just have to see how we do.
And a great job by the guys on pit road. They picked up 2 spots on pit road, Dick.
Well, Todd Bodine's team did a crackerjack job on their pit stop, and they put their guy out in the lead. Crew Chief Rambo Liberati said they made no changes to the car, but my spotter, Jeff Props, was listening, and he heard air pressure, 1/2 pound in the right rear, 1/2 pound out of the right front. And just before that, we heard Bodine say the car was sliding around on the racetrack. So sometimes you just got to eavesdrop to get the whole story, Mike.
How could they make all those changes without Tony knowing it? It's hard to figure.
But you know, this is Loudon, and what I heard Dennis Conner talking about is typical Loudon. It happens a lot of racetracks we go to. You're a little bit loose in the beginning of the race. More and more rubber gets laid on the racetrack, and the racetrack, it's not like the car gets better, but the racetrack actually comes to the car. The car gets tighter and tighter and tighter, and as you said, he was actually a little too tight at the end of that run.
You get to working right there, and when we talk about how the rubber goes down on the racetrack, as the race car slides across the racetrack, it actually kind of puts rubber through and into that surface right there, and the racetrack goes through kind of a change right there. The race cars have to adapt to it as well as the drivers.
So we're getting set for the restart after only the 2nd caution today, and Todd Bodine in his 8th start in the number 92. 4th at Talladega, only 1 DNF since he joined that ride. Crashed at Richmond last week.
Tony Raines in the 33 car, he'll be at the inside of the front line. Remember, he made that green flag stop on lap 67. Right there, he's on the verge of being 2 laps down, on the verge of getting one of those 2 back.
It's Raines. Well, okay.
Oh, man.
Happy Mother's Day. They want us to crank it up.
So crank the surround sound up and sit back, relax, and enjoy about 34,000 horsepower.
Second place behind Todd Bodine. Bobby Hamilton Jr. racing Scott Riggs. That's at 5th place.
Boy, his car really goes through the middle of the corner. Looked like he jumped in the throttle low. Car wiggled a little bit with him. He had to jump back out of the throttle. He makes the pass on Scott Riggs, and that's the battle for 5th.
While y'all were watching that, I was watching that restart. Jeff Burton said we were having some exciting restarts. We sure did. Going off of turn 3 a minute ago, we were 3 and 4 wide. Casey Mears was all up there, I guess almost against the wall, and somehow or another kept it off the wall. But it's getting wild woolly during these restarts.
Sauter and Riggs side by side as you watch from Mike McLaughlin's DNA camera.
You know, look at there, he started 19th. He's worked his way into the top 10. He's the only driver in the race today that has now competed in all 16 of these New Hampshire International Speedway Busch Series races. Won here in 1997 and set on the pole in 1995.
Back to single file.
much all the cars here on fresh tires, they're about a lane off the bottom. Before this transition change at the bottom of the racetrack where they actually took banking away, everybody would be right around the bottom, no more than about a foot off that yellow line right there. You see all of them letting it drift up there into that second groove.
All right, we mentioned Ron Hornaday made an extra pit stop under that caution, and more work went on down there in front of Dick Berggren.
Hornaday's extra pit stop, Mike, was because he had a sticking throttle, sticking open. They hope they've got that fixed. Meanwhile, Jason Keller's car sits on pit road. The crew under the hood of that automobile, they are still losing water. They are hopeful it is a radiator leak or a connection to the radiator, because if that's engine, he's in trouble. He came into this event as the point leader.
Thanks, Dick Hamilton battling Spray. 4th place now. Briggs behind them. And McLaughlin. 8 laps to halfway. Well, Larry, what we're seeing here certainly bodes well for Winston Cup when they return in July and September for 2 races this year.
Well, and again, Jeff Burton and I had that conversation this morning, and he definitely, after coming here and running or trying to complete a few laps of the Busch Series races, he's already out of the races, said that, you know, it's given him a good feel that we can't have some side-by-side racing here. We can't have passing. And one thing that he did mention to me that I kind of alluded to is the fact that when you're running in the second, third groove from a safety standpoint, it's a shorter distance to that wall, too, should you have a problem.
One thing I was really surprised about is the confidence. But Jeff did say all these things about this racetrack made him feel so much more. I think, you know, like I say, let's come back here next week and race now. I've got an idea what I need to do in my race car.
There may not be a race promoter in the country who puts more care into what the competitors think of his facility than Bob and Gary Bear. They spent, gosh, $60 million to build this place and probably another 20 or more in improvements since. Of their money. This is not a public corporation. It's a privately owned track. And now they're talking to Tony George about the soft wall technology that debuted last week at Indianapolis at the Speedway.
And I've talked to Jim way high there for 3 and 4 right there. And Randy LaJoie is going to make the pass on him to take second place away.
I talked to Jim Hunter with NASCAR this morning, and they, along with Bob Bear with the Speedway, they are going to watch the results at Indianapolis over the next 2 weeks because, as you said, Mike, Bob Bear has made that commitment that he will spend that money to put soft walls in here at Loudon, New Hampshire International Speedway.
Bobby Hamilton Jr. now has closed up on McMurray. He's in danger of losing third. McMurray's best finish at Nashville, 7th 5 races ago. He was 9th last week. Continuing to impress, but right now he's got a mirror full of Hamilton.
Right through the middle of the corner, right where you pick the throttle up. That seems like that's where Bobby Hamilton Jr. is so much stronger than everybody he catches. Right through the middle.
As at Richmond last Friday night.
You just don't need to get impatient here. He still has half this race to go. Don't overdrive that race car. Don't abuse those tires.
Second, third, and fourth the battle. Todd Bodine now 2 seconds ahead of Randy LaJoie. Here it goes for third. Hamilton Jr. inside of McMurray, 3rd place.
Just worked him, found where he was the weakest, found out where he was the strongest, and then made the pass.
So Hamilton, who lost a lot of spots on pit road, is marching his way back toward the front. Todd Bodine leads as we're just 2 laps from halfway in the Busch 200 on FX, presented by AT&T Unlimited.